Welcome to the Recover You podcast. I'm Kylene.
And I'm Patrick.
We are a couple in recovery
From sex addiction
and betrayal trauma. Together, we share our story to encourage you on your journey. It's here that we talk about sex addiction, betrayal trauma, mental, emotional, and physical health, faith, and anything and everything needed to recover you to your most authentic self that God created you to be. Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of Recover You. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Kylene.
Hi. So today we are going to talk about the idea of radical self-acceptance at every age, which is sort of my personal goal.
Yeah. And
my 40th birthday is coming up here very soon, June 14th. So I thought it was kind of an appropriate time to maybe talk about body image and self-acceptance and just in general, but I also think that overlaps a lot with the betrayed partner's recovery journey, and in some cases the addict's recovery journey as well, because it's just a human thing. But then because of these behaviors, a lot of times it like hits the wounded parts inside of us that that have insecurities in this area as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today. But first,
you're beautiful.
Oh, thank you. But first, we should edit in here. You are beautiful, no matter what they say. Right, that song, yeah. Have a little Christina Aguilera in the background. Yep. Okay, so we're actually going to do a really fun giveaway. So we are working on Recover You merch, and I've been working on this for the past several months. It's a little bit of a process to figure out like what's the best way to do this, but the designs themselves are super cool. And we had like a, what do you call it? Like a beta run of some sweatshirts, and one of them says "Trauma didn't win," and then on the sleeve it says "Healing did." So it's pretty cool. I really like that one. And then the other one says "Plot twist, it gets better," which I also really, really like. Yeah. So we have a couple extra. So Patrick and I have one. We gave one or two away. So we have 3 extra left. And so here's the deal. If you are a listener, if you're hearing this right now, and you leave a review, and don't be nervous. If you haven't left a review before, when you go in to do it in Apple, you can change the name that you're leaving the review in, so it can be completely anonymous. But if you leave a review in Apple and then you screenshot it and email me, Kylene at recoveryoucoaching.com, and just show me that you left it, because otherwise, like I said, if it's anonymous or it's like, X2123 left a review, I'm not going to know who it is. But if you email me and let me know that you sent or that you left this review, we are going to pick 3 people to give away these sweatshirts to.
There you go.
I'm so excited. So we have I do want to say they're oversized, and we have a medium and I believe 2 larges. So if you leave a review, snap a screenshot of it and then send it my way. If you want to, you can, tell me what size you generally are, and I will do my best. But, let's say 10 people, 20 people leave reviews. Just a reminder, we only have 3. So please don't feel bad if you're not chosen. But I think it's kind of fun. I want somebody listening to have these sweatshirts, because I think they're super cool. And on the back, it says Recover You. Yeah. But it's not, if people don't know what that is, it's not like you're...
I've been wearing the Trauma Didn't Win one, and I get a lot of comments on it. People are like, wow, I like your sweatshirt. I was checking into American Airlines in the Denver International Airport with it on, and both people are like, I really like your sweatshirt.
It's super cool.
It always catches me off guard. I'm always like,
Yeah. So with having 2 larges, if you normally wear a large, then it's just going to be like a roomy large. But if you are an extra large, normally with your sweatshirts, this would probably also fit. Same thing with the medium. So if you usually like a medium, it's probably going to fit more like a large. And so if you are a large, you could probably also fit the medium. So again, I'm going to do my best. Like, it's going to be probably fairly random that I pick them. But then if a size is in there, I will try to coordinate as best as I can. But like I said, we only have 3 sizes, medium and 2 larges. So anyway,
what's that email again?
It would be fun. Kylene at recoveryoucoaching.com.
All right.
So go to Apple, scroll down, leave a review, take a snapshot of it, and send me an email. Just letting me know that you did that.
Yep.
Yay. All right, cool. Fun. And that'll be kind of like for my birthday too. It'll just wrap it all in one. We're doing a giveaway. We're going to talk about this episode around my birthday. I was like, you're
going to leave a review and enter the draft for your birthday?
No. I'm saying it's all kind of wrapped up together. My birthday's coming up, and we're going to do a giveaway. And
part of the grand celebration.
I mean, 40 is a big deal, so.
It is a big deal.
All right, so let's talk about it. Okay. So I have, from a very young age, I always wanted to be okay aging. Like even when I was a little kid, I remember when Oprah turned 50, which I don't know how old she is now, but if you know how old she is, you could, reverse do the math, figure out how old I was. But I was young when she turned 50. And I remember her saying something to the effect of like, every decade gets better. And that just kind of like hit me at that age. Like that's how I want to feel, is that every decade gets better. And I've, thought recently with 40 coming up, how 30 was filled with a lot of hard, right? Like it was cancer, and then right after cancer, it was COVID, and then pretty soon after COVID, it was betrayal. And so boom, there my 30s are gone, right? So I've really been thinking like, man, I really want to bring like joy and purpose, and I really want to focus on like, what does this next decade look like for me? So a lot of you can probably relate to having one or more parents that were highly focused on their body image. I mean, a lot of people maybe relate to that. There's a lot of terminology out there, jokes on the internet about almond moms and things like that, where, oh, my mom growing up would like count almonds, or like they don't eat very much, right? And you guys have heard me talk about my mom on this podcast. I love her to death. And she was totally an almond mom. Like she basically like lived on like a handful of wheat thins, or what's that? It's the cereal, shredded wheat. She'd have like a cup of like shredded wheat that she would like snack on through the day. So she would barely eat anything. And then my dad was like a national athlete growing up. So he was like really athletic and really strong and muscular. And he really wanted to hold on to that physique for a really, really long time. And both of them sort of ended up with what I believe, this is my opinion, I believe they sort of got too attached to this body image to a point that it became a little unhealthy. And so I kind of grew up, hearing them talk about their bodies and stuff like that. And then around probably 12 or 13, so pretty young, I went through a phase where like I was really trying to lose weight, and I did that by restricting my food and skipping meals. And I don't know why I would like sneak this part, but I would like sneak running around the block. Like I wasn't going to get in trouble for running around the block, but the whole thing was like disordered in my brain, right? So I was kind of keeping all of it a secret, the skipping the meals and everything. And so it was all sort of lumped together. Well, I'm running around the block and I got to keep that a secret too, right? So I think most women can relate to probably something that I just said. And we all go through phases where our body changes, right? Just as human beings, stress, or for women, the hormonal shifts that we experience, whether it's puberty or then going through perimenopause and then eventually menopause, like there's a lot of things that naturally happen where our body is going to fluctuate to some extent up and down throughout life. Like it's very rare if you are relaxed and, flexible in your emotional thinking and mental thinking around food, that your body stays the exact same number its entire life, right? Like it's normal to flex up a little bit and then flex down a little bit, and that's part of life, right? And then with stress and all this kind of stuff, it shifts even more. So then we have betrayal, right? And we have discovery, and we have all of these things that really compound any layer of pain that somebody's going to have in this area already. So sometimes we might have, if a person, let's say even is fairly confident in their body and in, their physicality and who they are. But then they find out that their partner is looking at other women, and that's part of the acting out behavior, and it's associated with their sexuality and sexually acting out in some way. It can be really, really devastating. So anything, even if it is, even if you would consider it to be like a minor wound in somebody's life, it's going to be exacerbated. And then if somebody has a history of struggling with self-acceptance and viewing their body a certain way, it's going to really, really blow that up. Because some of the normal thoughts are, well, my partner doesn't obviously find me attractive because they're looking at other people. Am I attractive? Like, do I think I'm attractive? How do I feel about my body? And then a lot of like the specifics, right? Like, well, I'm assuming that he's now seen women that are younger or more beautiful, or they've had surgery, or they wear better makeup, or they feel more confident in their sexuality. Like, I feel like that's a big one. Like, this idea that in the world of sex addiction, you're exposed to people that, whether it's true or not, are going to come across as if they're very comfortable in their bodies. And that can feel like a threat, right? So anything that's pre-existing, this part of my body I'm not super comfortable with, or my sexuality is not as relaxed as I would want it to be, or my self-confidence or my self-worth or my self-acceptance is not as high as I would like it to be. And then we have all of these questions and doubts flooding in. It's going to blow all of those right up to the surface.
Yeah.
So I think this is a pretty universal thing. I would actually say, I'll pause here and just have you speak to like the male experience. I think we would generally assume that women struggle with this more, but then also I know that men will.
I think so.
Experience this to some extent as well.
In a lot of cases, the men get hurt too. Men get rejected, and there's when you start to be able to pull back and take a look at the way society holds value for certain people. I think there is a difference between what society is expecting out of women than men. So I want to say that right off the bat.
For sure.
But I also think there's the six-pack abs and all of these different things that a lot of men just don't get, and so they feel less than. You know what I mean? And so I think there's a lot of men will put on weight later on in life and will have a hard time getting it back off, and all these different things. And it'll weigh on you. I mean, it weighed on me. I think I had about a bazillion pounds of cortisol rolling through me at 49 when I was discovered, and it changed my weight, and it really did. And it's been a journey to kind of pull that back off again. Well, that's really kind of weighed on me because I'm like, well, I'm just not as attractive as I used to be, and I'm a bad person, right? So those two things were like together. So, but yeah, I think we all will feel comparison. I think we all go through that. It's like we all look at Brad Pitt when he played Achilles or whatever, and we're like, man, that's really cool. That's a really cool movie. And he's really like, no, I don't look like that. You know what I mean? And so like,
we need more of the stories that come out around those things to say, hey, everybody, this was only done for the movie, and it's very unsustainable, and blah blah blah. Like this is the kind of diet somebody had to be on, and it's actually very destructive for your health.
Well, they were saying like that movie 300 with Gerard Butler and all those guys were so ripped. And I did read an article back when that thing came out that he was like, you can't sustain this level of work. He's like, it was literally insane to get to that point. Like it was just not doable.
Yeah.
And he's a pretty fit guy,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, as he comes across. But, having those kinds of, that kind of cut, you just couldn't do it.
Yeah. So I think it's for sure after betrayal and the relational strain, probably one or both people, but often the betrayed partner is going to have like a really heightened sense of like, what is going on here, So I'm just going to share a little bit of like my thinking, and as you can kind of hear, as I shared, like some of this started really, really young for me. It's been like a very slow trickle progression for me of just this idea. I do think a lot of it was this internal decision that I made at some point that I want to like myself, and I want to like my body, and I want to feel comfortable with myself. And that doesn't mean that I am not trying to be healthy. It doesn't mean I'm not trying to be in shape. Like I'm still trying to do all those things, take care of my skin, all these things, right? And whatever the outcome ends up being with that, I want to be okay with it. And if it's, if I'm not, everyone usually has like their quote unquote ideal weight. And usually it's a weight that's like really hard to achieve. And there were a couple times in my life where I was like really thin, and it was fairly easy in the moment for whatever reason. Yeah. And like I lost a lot of weight naturally after my divorce, and I was like, oh, I'm like really skinny and I really like this. And there's 0% chance that I would like ever get back to that weight ever. Yeah. And so my point is like, yes, be healthy. Yes, take care of yourself, and really be careful with what is the standard that you're trying to achieve, and is it actually healthy or achievable? Because for me, I think when if I really held a certain number in my head that was too low, that would be very, very discouraging, because there's really not a healthy way, I don't think, that I could achieve that. So a lot of the way I try to think about it is I want to be able to exercise. I want to be able to move. I want to be physically healthy. I want to have energy. And, I want to eat healthy foods. And essentially, beyond that, try not to stress too much about it is kind of the goal, right? Yeah. Like I'm aware, but I want to kind of relax more and more and more. So some of the things that to think about are like any choices I make, I don't want them to be because I'm doing them for somebody else. And certainly not for like the male gaze or even Patrick, honestly. Like I don't want to make decisions that are like, oh, I'm trying to look a certain way for you, right? Which is never something you've ever said, never put any pressure on that. But it's more about focus on, physical, mental, and emotional health. And really, I want to get to a place where I accept myself and I'm feeling confident in myself and my soul and my body, right? And I think that's the thing is like we're not just a body. And I think if we hyper focus on that too much, it can be really hard.
Yeah. You would ask me a little bit about the guy. I mean, I can't speak for all guys. I can speak for myself. And so like you hit the nail on the head, when right after Discovery, I felt like spiritually and emotionally I was ugly, right? Because of what I had done. And that took me a long time to come out of that. You know what I mean? And so because I felt that way, there was no consideration whatsoever about my physical appearance. I mean, absolutely none. And then as I've addressed that inner, kind of belief of what I was or am, it's getting a little bit easier now. And so like, for me, what I want to get to is like, it's like, like I've got more gray in my eyebrows now and stuff like that. And it doesn't bother me. Part of me kind of goes, you know what? I kind of earned that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I've earned that. And a lot of it, there was a big part of it that was self-inflicted. But there was other things that happened to me that I made it through. You know what I mean? That I guess you could even argue this. I made it through this too. And so, I'm feeling better about my body's ability to maintain. You know what I mean? Go through Discovery and recovery and 2 knee surgeries and everything, and now I'm running again, right? Like it wasn't supposed to happen. You know what I mean? So you're like, man, my body did a pretty good job. You know what I mean? And so
I think that's actually a really good point. Is like one of the ways that we're gonna, how do we support ourselves through this? Is to ask the question like, well, what has my body done for me? Yeah. Right. So if I said that, it'd be like, well, it got me through cancer. Like that's a pretty big deal.
It is a big deal.
And, it went through the medicine and it went through the recovery and the fatigue and all this kind of stuff, right? So, what has your body done for you? It survived under really strong periods of stress, right? It pushes out these hormones when you need them when something scary happens. It reminds you to rest. It does all these things for you. Even when we have high amounts of cortisol and it stores belly fat, like it's like a protection thing, right? Like cortisol is coming out to help you. It lowers inflammation. It helps you focus. It does all these things, right? And then it gets stored. And when we store extra weight, a lot of times it's a protection that your body is like storing the nutrients, which we know when we're stressed, our nutrient stores go down, right? So there's so many different ways that your body is trying to help you. And I think that's one of the ways that it's really important to remember that through this process is that whatever is happening, whether you're flexing up or flexing down, or you want to lose weight or you want to gain weight, remember that whatever your body is doing, even if we don't like it, and kind of the way we think about emotions, even if we don't like it, it's whatever it's doing is trying to help you.
Right.
It's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to maintain balance. And also whatever journey, wherever you are in your journey, whether it is the emotional process of self-acceptance or if you're working towards a physical health goal, just slow and steady is always better than trying to rush something like this. Because even if you're talking about weight loss, right, they usually are going to recommend that you do that really slowly because then it's consistent and it has to do with lifestyle changes and things that are doable for you. When we rush it, a lot of times we don't keep the results that we want.
Right,
or if we're gaining strength, right, like if they bulk up for those movies, it's a very, very, very unsustainable way that they do that. Versus if you see people gradually increasing weight over like a decade, they end up retaining a lot of the muscle mass that they build, right? So a lot of those thoughts can come into this kind of thinking as well. But some of the thinking or mindsets that I wrote down was age is age is coming. So it's better for me to accept it than fight it.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about it. Like I'm getting the grays in my hair too. My body is shifting. It's totally there, Patrick. It's the beginning phases of them sticking around. It has happened. They have stuck. And there's more of them than usual. Mm-hmm. But I think I've watched you, like they come and they go and they come and they go, right? So, but I've noticed I'm like, oh, they've come and they've gone and they've come and they've gone.
That might be because I'm a redhead though. I think redhead hair like changes.
Yeah,
and stuff
who knows?
Like that, so, yeah.
But just the idea of like age is coming. Like there's nothing we can do about it. So if we think that we're gonna be 90 and we're gonna look the same as we did when we're 30, like there's a part of acceptance, right? And thinking about that low and slow thing. I think, if we don't at least have that mindset a little bit now, and then when we start to have shifts later on in life, it gets hard, right? So if we're trying to push against the reality of life, as opposed to working slowly towards accepting it as we age, right? That's kind of my goal is like, how can I slowly, as my body changes, how can I slowly, as things naturally happen, accept them one at a time?
Yeah. And
that's kind of my personal goal. And another way of thinking about that is I would rather work with my body than against it. Mm-hmm. So maybe an example of that is that I've shifted into like Pilates right now instead of weight training right now. I usually really love weight training, but I've gone through some phases where I just wasn't working for me, and being consistent with it was hard, and getting the results I wanted and having the energy to do it and all this kind of stuff. So I was like, okay, if consistency and being able to move is important, and being able to do things that help my blood flow and keeping my muscles moving and strengthening them and all this kind of stuff, that's important. What is something that I can do that's going to feel good to my body? So then I've been experimenting with Pilates, and right now that feels really good and gets me out of the house. I like the classes. They do it on the Reformer. So there's just a lot of things there that I'm like, okay, I'm making it work for me right now. Yep. And then my body might change again. I might be like, you know what? I really miss lifting weights and I really enjoyed that. Let me do that again. Or, so being able to kind of shift and working with your body. But if something doesn't feel good, going, okay, how can I make this work for me? Yeah. So what is the goal and how can I kind of fit within that based on how I feel and what's doable? And even you can think about that with time, right? There's workout programs that are like 40 minutes every single day, no breaks. And you're like, okay, that one is not going to work for me. Like I don't have the time. Or you try it for like a week and then you crash and burn because it gets too much for your body, right? Yeah. And then there's other ones that are like 20 minutes, 3 days a week, or whatever it might be, right? So figuring out, okay, what is doable for me that I can maybe stay with or build on later. Yeah. Or change. Like you're going to change through life. Kind of on that same vein, I want to be as healthy as possible, right? That's kind of the goal. Yeah. But I think that encompasses mental health, emotional health, physical health, kind of all of that, right? Yeah. So if focusing on my physical appearance threatened my mental health, like then it would be out of balance. Yeah. Right? So how do I try to balance all of that together? Yeah. Right? Yeah. So again, I'm getting close to 40, super close. And so it's been on my mind. And so there's all these things that I'm thinking about, right? I'm like, okay, well, I want to work on my skincare and I want to work on my style and, I'm going to get like a haircut before my birthday or, all these like silly things. And those might seem really silly, but I think through betrayal too, it's like, think about what are some things that are going to make you feel good about who you are now? Like, does getting your nails done feel relaxing to you or does it feel stressful to you? Does, shopping in your closet for different styles and kind of, working through what really looks good on my body and what really feels like, when do I feel confident wearing an outfit, right? Is that going to help you? But right now, as you're navigating something that feels really like it's hitting you very, very personally, what are different things that you can do with the body that you have, with the self that you have right now to start building yourself back up? Yeah. And say, I really am beautiful and I deserve to feel confident in my outfit. Because I remember right at the beginning too, like, and this lasted for a long time, even if I would try too hard to look nice, I would kind of feel stupid. And it was that comparison thing. And I would feel really weird. Like I was a try hard. Like, why are you trying so hard, Kylene? Like, I didn't want my hair to be out of place. Like, it was really weird. But I felt very put on the spot because all that was in my head was, whatever you've seen probably was prettier than me is kind of how it felt. And so then why, like, I want to feel good about myself. And so I'd kind of try to look nice, and then it would just make me feel stupid. So I think I first of all want to normalize that. But then I also want to encourage you, do it for yourself. Like, feel good for yourself. Because if your relationship lasts, you'll move through that as you feel safer. And if it doesn't last, if the reconciliation, does not work out, you're moving towards how can I love and accept and feel confident myself regardless, right?
Yeah.
I think that's important because that's is a strong pain point, I think, for a lot of the women.
Yep. I would agree.
So another way that I'm trying to move into, speaking of kind of accepting every phase, I'm fairly committed, and I do reserve the right to change my mind, but I'm fairly committed to going gray naturally. So we'll see how that goes. But I am fairly committed to it. So we'll see. But here's the contrast in terms of like supporting my body. There's a lot that's like, well, when you start turning gray, glutathione can help. So like I do things like I jump in the sauna, I have a glutathione spray. I'm supporting my health. And, in my mind, I'm like, maybe I can prevent this a little bit longer. I can slow it down. It's going to come at some point. And can I have the right attitude to accept it when it does? But can I, living a healthy life, can I put it off a little bit longer till it totally transitions? But anyway, that's in the back of my mind. I'm going to try to do it. And then, one of the other things, one of my other mindsets is I want to be, and I think I want to be with someone who finds me beautiful at every age and is more attracted to me as I age, not less. So I think, when like thinking about the comparison thing and the things that make us feel really insecure as women, we really want to maybe challenge that with this idea that if we feel like we have to prove ourselves to our partner, then this is really not a healthy relationship.
No, it's not.
We want to age together because they're going to age too.
Right.
Yeah. Like their body changes too. So it's a bi-directional thing where if you're connected and supportive of each other, and also when you get out of the pornified world, a healthy relationship is one where you're attracted to your age as you age, your partner as they age.
Right.
And so when you get out of the fake, sort of overdone, overproduced, fantasy stylistic world that is, where some of this behavior resides, then there might be scars, there might be lack of filters, there might be all this kind of stuff. But can you find beauty in that?
Yeah.
Like you mentioned something earlier about what your body's done for you. And I have a scar kind of, I don't know, chest, shoulder area, whatever you'd say, where my chemo port was in. And when I got the chemo port out, I put the scar cream on it, but then it worked so well, I actually stopped using it because I didn't want it to completely go away. Because I actually like that imperfection in my body because it represents something that my body went through.
Yeah.
Right. So are there things that are, quote unquote imperfections that you can maybe challenge yourself to like? Like I have these, I don't know why or how, I think I had them probably since it was probably like a puberty growth spurt or something, but I have these stretch marks on my inner thighs, and I think you see them more when my legs get tan. And I don't know. I think at some point I just sort of decide those are kind of cool.
Yeah.
They are, because I can't change them.
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do about it,
Right.
So I don't know, things like that. Can you maybe like create, can you reframe something that's an imperfection into something that you like, or it's what makes you unique, or it represents a period of time in your life or something that happened, or maybe there's a scar from when your cat scratched you and it's a memory, or when you fell as a kid, or, whatever that might look like, right?
Yeah. I heard somebody say this one time, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard this, but it kind of resonates with everything you're saying. It's like, you don't say happy birthday for turning 40. You say happy birthday, you reached level 40.
There you go, yeah.
Right? And so it's like a really cool thing because like from like a video game standpoint, you've advanced and you've accomplished the objectives to reach the next level, right? So it's a really positive thing. So it's like this year I'll reach level 55. And so like it's cool. You know what I mean? I've been through a lot, you know what I mean? But I've learned a lot too, you know what I mean? And I believe that I'm a much better man at this age than I was in my 40s, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of what you want. You want to be able to say, hey, I'm still learning and I'm still growing and I'm willing to reflect and I'm willing to listen and I'm willing to do all of those things from an emotional standpoint. But the same thing does apply to your physical body because you're right. One of my vows to you was I was always going to be able to run a 6-minute mile. So the funny thing is I think since knee surgery, I've gotten down to like 7:10, which is pretty fast, but not sustained. So, part of me is like, well, let's see if I can do it. Yeah, right. But of course, it was a joke. It's not like you were expecting that. No. But I mean, things happen. You know what I mean? I wasn't expecting 2 knee surgeries when I made that vow.
When you made it?
When I made the vow,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I think another mindset that might be, a lot of the things I'm saying might are just an opportunity to say, hey, how do I look at this? And is this potentially a way to look at it differently, right? And so something that we all might experience at some point in our lives or at different phases is, where is our gaze going? Is it going towards the past and trying to recreate something that's in the past? Like, so for example, like I mentioned that specific like body weight number that I had after divorce, right? There's no way. Like, so if I was hyper focused on the past and recreating something, then I would be sad all the time because I'm not, I eat healthy and I move and my weight has a happy little stuck point. And like for me to achieve that would mean a lot of uncomfortable life changes for me and probably hormonal shifts that would be really not helpful for me at this point and all this kind of stuff, right? So if I'm focused on, regaining that number or how I looked at a decade younger than I am right now or whatever, like that could cause me a lot of pain. And so maybe a reframe and an alternative is, can we maybe look towards the future? Like, and so it's being comfortable with the now, but also sort of mentally and emotionally preparing for like, what do when you're 80, like, what is going to make you feel good when you're 80, 85, and 90 years old about where we spent our mental time and what we created in our life? And, just having that mindset of like, if I were to be on my deathbed tomorrow, am I living my life in a way that would make me feel good about that? Right. Yeah, and just having a little bit of that reframe can be really helpful to kind of think about, it puts things in a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some practical ways that maybe we can support ourselves as we're feeling insecure in these areas, which again is really normal. I think it's a human thing, but then particularly after betrayal, like if you're struggling with this, you're very much not alone. Really notice how you speak to yourself out loud or in your head. Some days we'll actually say things like really out loud, like, a really negative comment about a physical body part or about our weight or whatever. And so just checking and noticing, like, do I say that out loud a lot? And is it what I really believe? Like, is it a joke? Is it, because your brain is hearing that. And if you say I am statements, those are identity statements. And we want to be careful about using those. And you and I are probably both guilty of saying negative things out loud, right?
Absolutely.
And so we should probably check ourselves on that. Something that I have recommended for clients to do in the past is what I call the mirror exercise. And so this is an exercise of finding beauty in yourself. And so you can do it in a lot of different layers, but the most basic level 1, if you want to say, layer would be fully clothed, standing in front of the mirror and deciding like, I'm going to find something to compliment before I walk away. So I'm going to find something on my face if you're fully clothed, or like maybe your hands or, your nose, your eyes, or your mouth, or your smile, or your hair, or whatever. But I'm not going to walk away until I say, hey, my skin looks really nice today, or something positive about yourself. And the goal is to like train your brain. I'm going to look for something that I can compliment about myself and my appearance. Yeah. And then as you progress, the idea would be that you remove more and more clothing and you challenge yourself with parts of your body that you would normally feel insecure on and begin working towards, how can I compliment those parts of my body? And sometimes it might be less about the physical appearance and more about what that part has offered to you.
Right.
And so that's an exercise that I think every human could do if we struggle in this area. And I think it could be really helpful.
Yeah, I agree.
Another more intimate and more challenging exercise would be inside the partnership. So because betrayal hits on such a deep level. I certainly wouldn't do this like the first couple months. Just there's a time for everything. But because it hits on such a deep level, and because so much of our insecurity then is about how our partner views us, really cool exercise can be when your partner is complimenting the different body parts and what they do and what they represent and how beautiful your partner finds them. And that can be done, again, level 1 is like fully clothed, right? Like you're just going to sit there and receive your partner telling you, hey, I find you to be a very strong, a very beautiful, a very, it doesn't all have to be about physicality. It can be a mixture of things, but some of it could be because the physicality is usually the most insecure part and the most triggering part. So over time, some of it could be more about the physicality, but really kind of challenging yourself to receive that. Now, again, I wouldn't probably do this in the first 6 months, maybe not even the first year. It depends on the relationship. It really does. But that's a really good exercise. And we did variations of that.
We did. Yeah, we did. And it was, it was good for me too, because on that side, and this is where if you're staying in the relationship, I was working very hard to not say objectifying things, right? You know what I mean? Because I really
that would come across as objectification.
Right, that would come across that way. And not because I was just trying to make you happy. I was really, hey, I want you to receive these things. I want these things to be healing. So if you're in a relationship and your partner who just betrayed you is not willing to do that, or if they roll up on you and say, well, I wish you were thinner, those are like huge red flags. So, because what you want to be, if you're staying in a partnership, you want this person to grow with you. And you want them to say, hey, I may not always get it right, but this is what I'm trying to do. Because I don't think I always got it right either. I think there might have been something that landed flat or was like, oops, I didn't mean it that way. You know what I mean? But
I don't know. I can't really, not off the top of my head, but I think that whole, it's such a landmine of I don't know. It's just a landmine for a lot of reasons. I don't necessarily, I don't remember anything that you did wrong in terms of like intention or your mindset was in the wrong place. Just maybe like there were word pairings that felt uncomfortable for me or something, stuff like that, right? Yep. So working through that together, but no, there is even doing that type of an exercise with non-visible body parts. So there was a period of time I've had throughout my life, different hormonal shifts that have caused various problems. Like when I start my cycle, there have been incidences where I have to go to the emergency room because I'm in so much pain from the cramping. And so there's been various phases where like my hormones are in different places and they cause a lot of pain or, a lot of different issues. So at one point through our recovery journey, I said to you something along the lines of, hey, I think I've realized that my uterus holds fear. And so one of the exercises was you talking to my uterus. And I think I got really emotional because you said a lot of things that like, I was like, oh, wow, like that was really nice. Like you were talking about all the things that my uterus did for me and helping me and how, great it was and how much you loved it. And I was like,
yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. And it was such a deep, heartfelt, kind thing that seemed easy for you to do. I don't know if it was, but it seemed like it was easy for you to say those things and they just like came out of your mouth. I'm like, how did you say those things? I'm like sitting here like, how do you think about what to say to a uterus? That was like perfect. Yeah. So a couple exercises like that can be really helpful with the coupleship, especially when body image or self-acceptance is on the line because, think about it's an individual process, right? Like I mentioned at the beginning, there is at some point internally like a decision that we have to make that says, hey, I want to work towards getting better at this thing. And like I'm committed to getting to the place where I accept myself. Right. And then if you're staying in relationship, it's going to be very, very important that you feel safe with your partner because we've talked about this in other intimacy episodes. Sometimes humans can say, yep, we can have sex, but then they feel really, really uncomfortable actually looking at each other's bodies, for example, right? And so there's an intimacy disconnect there if you can experience my body, but I don't feel safe having you see my body, right? And so I think if you're going to stay with someone and we're optimizing health and intimacy, it's going to be really important to do exercises like that and to really identify like what are the parts of our physical interactions or parts of my body that I feel insecure about, and how can my partner help me through that and help me change that relationship that I have, change the relationship that I have with that part of myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah.
How did you feel doing all those exercises?
I mean, it was hard. I was like, it was, I wanted you to get better. I wanted you to heal. I wanted you. And so for me, what was going through my head was like, that was my goal. But what was hard for me was it was coupled with it'd be better if you just got divorced from me. So I was doing these things because I wanted you to be okay. I really, really did. But it was like, this is not really for us. This is just. Oh,
you had that in the back of your head?
Yeah. I mean, that was there for a long time. It was like, this is about getting you hehealthy, and I'll do whatever I can because of what I've done. You know what I mean? And so.
Poor Patrick. But like, it was hard in the sense that you thought you were helping me heal while the relationship wasn't going to last, not hard in the sense of like, you weren't telling me things you didn't believe.
No. Like I remember that uterus thing, and like, it was like, I knew in my heart of hearts what would be received well, what would be a very, very kind thing. It wasn't hard for me to say that,
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it now that you did it and we're still together?
Well, I mean, I think it was, as long as your motivations are, because like my motivation to help you was a pure, kind motivation. My view of myself and what I deserved or what was coming to me was flawed, and that had to grow. But I think as long as your intentions are positive and your intentions are towards health in some way for someone, then I think it's going to be okay.
Yeah, I would definitely say those exercises would not work if you're going to come from a selfish perspective. Yeah, because you really have to focus on the safety of the other person. Because if it's really a trauma exercise, if they're feeling insecure about something or it's representing pain or a negative emotion, and you're trying to provide safety and healing and recovery for that part of them, and to make them feel relaxed and better about it. It can't come from a selfish place of like, oh, well, maybe this means we'll get closer to intimacy soon. Right.
And that's inauthentic. And I think that would come across. So like,
and then it would cause more trauma instead of the healing, which the exercise would be intended to do.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, if I could say that to all the betrayers now, is like, slow down on your expectation of physical intimacy. You know what I mean? It's you've got to understand what you've done has wrecked that has wrecked the healthy version of that. There may be an unhealthy version where the betrayed spouse goes, whatever, tonight, let's go, but that's probably not healthy. I would say it's very much not healthy. So you want to understand that in order to, the destination of healthy can be a long one, and it's a complicated one.
Yeah.
And it takes time. And so, if you find that all you're wanting to do is have intercourse, and that's at the top of your mind as you're going through this,
right,
you've got to really talk to somebody and say, hey, how do I bring that down? Because
then it's an idol.
It does. Well, it clouds your vision, as opposed to, what really makes physical intimacy beautiful is when all the safety aligns and all of the, truly beautiful, right? That all of that exists in the relationship between the two of you. And so it's worth it because, like I look back on our time, and it was slow. It was slow getting there. Yeah. I didn't rush it. I think you got more frustrated than I did with it. You're like, we should be here now. And I'm like,
I get frustrated at my own pace.
Yeah.
It was like, why is my pace so slow?
Yeah. And so,
but then I also was trying, again, this like radical acceptance thing. It's like, I was trying to be respectful of my own pace.
Yeah.
And because I didn't think that rushing it would be a helpful thing for either one of us.
Right. And as it turns out, I mean, I think the way we connect now is wonderful. You know what I mean? And so I don't think we would connect that way.
Yeah.
Had we not gone through everything that we did,
Yeah, and I was just thinking too, I think it's an important thing to think about. One of the biggest insecurities with comparison is, my partner saw someone prettier than me. And it's a really hard thing to kind of work around. And I think I'm going to challenge that idea with maybe, because we're always going to age and there's always going to be somebody that's prettier or younger or thinner or stronger or more talented at something or better at makeup or better at dressing, or like there's always going to be somebody out there that we feel like they do something better or they look better than us.
Well, I think that we subjectively will look at.
Right.
Say,
I'm saying
not objectively, subjectively.
Right. Like that we, as the betrayed partner, like we view these other people as, I think that person's prettier than me. I think that person's blah, blah, blah. Right.
Yeah.
And so there's always going to, like our whole life, we're going to have that. You could be like 85 and there's always going to be like a 65-year-old that, you're like, hey, my neighbor down the street, she looks better than me. Or you're 45 and you're like, hey, my 30-year-old neighbor, right? There's always going to be someone that you internally view as like more attractive than you. And, so we're always exposed to those things. So I think it's important to always come back to that might be true. There might be somebody that you view as more attractive. And so how do you love and accept yourself now? Because we can't get younger. We are only going to get older, and there's only that's going to happen.
Right.
So working on how can I appreciate the moment that I'm in as much as I possibly can. I don't think anybody's going to be perfect with this, but how can I try really hard to work through these parts that these wounded parts and these damaged beliefs that I have or have held from any age of my life, but particularly after betrayal, and how can I work through that? And then if you have a partner who wants to move towards health and is doing the work and working with a therapist, these are things I'd bring to your therapist over time. Like this would be maybe like year 2 work. Yeah. But that's when I think the coupleship can really dig into some of this work together, because if you are going to stay together, okay, you've created safety, you've gone through disclosure, he's in sobriety, he's moving into recovery, all this kind of stuff. Like, let's really dig in now to some of these deeper levels, and it can make the relationship more connected.
Yeah, and I think it's really okay for the betrayed spouse to set some real clear guidelines that might be something like, hey, intercourse is off the table for a year, or I don't know what the path is, but right now it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's really okay to do all of that while you work through all of this. So I would actually encourage you to say something, in that thing, and say, hey, listen, here's the deal. And so, and then, you can gauge how your partner responds.
That's important. Gauge how your partner responds.
Hopefully it's a kind response.
Because if they are having an attitude about it, or don't think
Outing.
that, or making you feel bad about it, or trying to pressure you in any way, like red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. Like a healthy relationship is one where the person who has hurt you is going to do everything they can to help you feel safe.
Right.
And that does not include any version of gaslighting or blaming or pressuring or selfishness, honestly. They can't be selfish. Right. So they have to be generous with their time, with their energy, with their ability to help you and sit with you and help you process. That's really important. And so for the person experiencing insecurities, I think feel free to set goals. Like I said, I want to work towards accepting my body. Right? Like or I want to feel better. I just want to feel confident in my body, or I want to work towards feeling confident in my style, right? Or I want to get better at learning how to apply makeup, or I want to focus on skincare so I don't have to wear makeup, or, like whatever that looks like for you, right? Like what's a goal that would feel good for you to really articulate, I feel a little insecure in this area, or I don't fully accept myself in this area, or I think I could get better in this area, and just set that goal. And just be really, really mindful, like we were talking about earlier, of the direction that it's focused. Is this focused on health and your future and really self-acceptance and physical, mental, and emotional health? Or is it past focused. I'm trying to recreate something that's in the past that I really can't recreate, right? So we want to create in relationships and our individuality and our marriages and our health. We want to rebuild something brand new after betrayal. Right. We don't want to turn around and try to hold on to something that it doesn't exist anymore. The version of you before betrayal is gone. And sometimes that feels very painful to sit with. But when we can come into the acceptance of that, then we also have the ability to open the door to something brand new. And what does that look like? And how do we define health in that area? And what is the vision we can create for interacting with our partner in a healthy way, interacting with our own mind in a healthy way, interacting with our body in a healthy way, interacting with, how do I feel about myself as a human being? I very definitively remember there were a lot of times where I would take these business trips throughout recovery. And early on, it felt really good to go off and do something that felt really independent, kind of in the midst of all of this, right? And have that time. And I remember one of them, I can't remember how far it was into recovery, but I remember one of them very definitively, like it just dropped in. I was like, I like myself.
Yeah.
I like myself.
Yep.
And that felt really good to sort of have that realization on that trip of I like who I am.
Yeah.
Not that doesn't mean I'm done growing. I'm going to keep going. Right. But I just, in that moment, I was like, you know what? I like who I am. And so think about how can we get to those places and how can we take that? What are the steps that we need to keep moving towards that? So that's it. That's kind of my reflection about turning 40.
I'm glad you like yourself because you're pretty awesome.
Thanks. Yeah. I usually like myself. Like in general, I like myself. I think I'm a nice person. Yeah. But yeah, in that moment, it was a really important realization because we were way more in the depths of recovery then. But another thing I think too that could be really encouraging is follow people online that sort of represent this, right? Follow people that encourage confidence and self-acceptance and demonstrate kind comfort. Like they are kind people and they're comfortable with who they are. And there's a lot of people that are, social media has everything you could possibly want. And there are people out there that are
the bad and the ugly.
They're helping you while they're personally navigating perimenopause. They have gone through menopause and they turn back and they're helping you navigate menopause. And they're, they really coach women on self-acceptance and self-empowerment and, all these kinds. There's so many accounts out there that are really, really positive for this idea of like, you are who you are.
Yeah.
And God gave you the body that he gave you. And, you have the family that you have and you have the past that you have and you have. So how can we create the healthiest version of you? And how can we get to the place where we love that version of ourselves and create the healthiest version of ourselves? So anyway, those are some of my thoughts. It's interesting because I've never really, I don't really care about aging too much. But 40 has been on my mind, less about the aging part and more about, I just feel like it's a big milestone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I'm thinking about, okay, I'm saying goodbye to my 30s and what do I want to, bring into my 40s and what do I want to focus on? And I guess you could say, what do I want to create over this next decade, right? And I think it's more peace, more joy, more helping others in whatever way I have and can help them, that kind of thing. So, yeah. All right. Well, if you made it to the end of the episode, you've probably forgotten about our giveaway. So make sure that you go to Apple Podcasts, scroll down, leave a review, and then email me, Kylene at recoveryoucoaching.com with a screenshot of that. And then we have 3 sweatshirts that we are going to give away that are super, super, super cool and very comfortable. So make sure you send me an email. Let us know that you did that. And we will choose 3 listeners for that giveaway. Yeah. I'm excited to do that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. And we hope that this episode has been encouraging. All right, Patrick, we're going to do this until you get it. Are you ready?
Oh, please don't make me do it.
Come on, you can do it.
I really can't.
All right. You want to try? Not even a little bit?
No.
It starts with every day is a new opportunity.
Every day is a new opportunity to choose health and strength, freedom.
You gotta think about picture an eagle or something.
Yeah. Every day is a new
opportunity to choose health and freedom. Make that choice today and we'll see you next week.
Yep.
Woohoo! If you're listening to this, it means you've made it through an entire episode. Part of recovery is spending time engaging in healing and self-growth activities. We are thankful that you chose our podcast to be one of those activities today. Make sure you reward yourself for that accomplishment. If you've enjoyed this episode or this podcast, we would love to hear from you. Please take just a few moments to leave a rating and review, letting us know your experience with Recover You. We not only love hearing how these episodes are helpful, but ratings and reviews help others just like you who are searching for recovery information and support find the podcast too. We can't wait to hear from you. See you next week.